Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Hope everybody had a great New Year's. And to start off, we have yet another giveaway announcement. This time, I'll be giving away count them, five of these Larry Elder Show mugs. Who doesn't want to have a Larry Elder Show mug? So make sure you go to winlarry.com right now to enter the giveaway. I will be announcing winners this month, January 20th, live on the Larry Elder Show on Epic TV. So be sure not to miss it. Again, that's winlarry.com. Got that? And of course, thank you to everybody who signed up for the last giveaway. We love engaging with you guys, so please let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Now let's start today's show, shall we? My next guest has written an article called University of Michigan, Palestinian Jihad Supporters Call for Destruction of Israel, chanting, "There is only one solution."
Justice is our demand of peace on stolen land. Intifada, long live the Intifada. Intifada, Intifada, long live the Intifada. Intifada, long live the Intifada. Intifada, long live the Intifada.
There is only one solution.
Intifada revolution. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free.
And a new poll released right before MLK Day finds anti-Semitism worst among blacks and young adults. Joining me to discuss this is Robert Spencer, founder of Jihad Watch and prolific author, including a book called Stealth Jihad: How Radical Islam is Subverting America Without Guns or Bombs. His latest book is The Critical Quran. Robert, thank you very much for taking the time.
Good to talk to you, Larry. Thank you.
Robert, I went to University of Michigan for law school. Those protests appeared to be on campus, were they?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Right through the campus, directly threatening. People don't realize that the language that they were using is as threatening as you can possibly be. Intifada refers to violent uprisings of Palestinians in the past against Israelis in which numerous Israeli civilians were killed. So imagine you're a Jewish student or a pro-Israel student on the University of Michigan campus and you see them walking by. They're essentially saying, yes, we want you to be violently brutalized, if not killed.
Now, Robert, tell me this is just sporadic. It's only happening at University of Michigan. Nowhere else is this going on college campuses. Please tell me that.
I wish I could. Unfortunately, this is basically standard practice on college campuses all over the country today. This kind of thing is taken for granted. The Students for Justice in Palestine and other groups of that kind are increasingly physically threatening of pro-Israel students. And all too often, administrators sit back and let it all happen because they're on the same side as these pro-Palestinian protesters.
That was my next question. How does the administration feel? How do the professors feel?
All too often, they're the ones that have stirred all this up, because they spread lies about how Israel is on stolen land, how, you heard them saying from the river to the sea, Palestine would be free. What that is calling for a new genocide of the Jews, because from the river, the Jordan River, to the Mediterranean Sea would mean the complete destruction of Israel, and that means the mass killing of many, if not most, of the people who live there now. And that kind of thing is actually taught favorably on college and university campuses, where they say that Israel took over this land. This was the land of Palestine. This is all false. In my book, The Palestinian Delusion, I show this, that there was never a state of Palestine, that the land was not stolen, that actually the reason why many Arabs fled when Israel was founded was because the Arab Higher Committee told them to leave, not because they were exiled by the Israelis.
It's hysterical, Robert, to hear people who are on that side talk about Israel as being an apartheid state. South Africa was apartheid. How many blacks were a member of the parliament? How many blacks served in the Supreme Court? How many blacks had full rights, with the exception of having not to have to serve in the military? It's insulting to black people who went to apartheid for the Palestinian so-called plight to be likened to apartheid South Africa.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's just a cheap talking point that manipulates ignorant people, people like easily impressionable college students who don't know the history, don't know what South Africa was like under apartheid, don't really even know what apartheid is. And so they're told this, and it sounds, oh, this is a bad word, this is a bad country, and we have to go out and join these protests. When actually, as you noted, yes, there are Arab Israelis in the Knesset. The head of the largest bank in Israel is an Arab. There is no apartheid in Israel. It's absolutely baseless.
Even Chuck Schumer, Robert, called the boycott, divest, sanction movement anti-Semitic. Yet it is mainstream, isn't it, not on college campuses?
Yes, and it's a frankly neo-Nazi movement. We have to be clear about this and honest about this. The Nazis started by boycotting Jewish businesses. That was one of the first things Hitler did when he took power, was call for national boycotts of Jewish-owned businesses. And so the BDS movement is following directly in the footsteps of Hitler. Now, I know people say, oh, when you make a Hitler comparison, then that's out of bounds. Well, no, this is exactly what these people are doing.
Are the Biden administration's New Year's goals of tax and spend and turn a blind eye to inflation at odds with your goals of securing your savings? When you've finally had enough of the games government is playing with your savings and retirement, diversify into gold with Birch Gold. I know I'm tired of my money being impacted by stupid decisions by leaders in Washington. I bet you are too. For over 5,000 years, gold has withstood inflation, geopolitical turmoil, and stock market crashes. And here's the great news. You can still get it. In fact, you can own gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in precious metals. Here's what you need to do. Just visit LarryForGold.com to claim your free info kit on gold. With almost 20 years experience converting IRAs and 401ks into precious metal IRAs, Birch Gold can help you protect yourself with gold today by visiting LarryForGold.com. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews. So, secure your future with gold. Start today with a free info kit. There's zero obligation to make this request. Just visit LarryForGold.com. That's LarryForGold.com. Do you equate anti-Israel to anti-Semitism?
Yeah, absolutely. This is just a dodge that people say. And it's very clear that they mean anti-Semitism and not anti-Israel, because when you start looking at the statements of Palestinian leaders and Muslim leaders in the United States, all too often they start talking about the Jews and not just the Israelis. And they start speaking in the terms of the anti-Semitic passages in the Quran, like where the Jews are called apes and pigs and so on. And this is applied to the Israelis today. It's very clear that they see this in terms of the Quran's anti-Semitism, which of course applies to all Jews and not just to those in Israel.
Is there not, Robert, an anti-Semitism problem within the Democratic Party, including members of the so-called squad?
Very much so, because, of course, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, they're the rising stars in the Democrat Party. You know, they're the new young blood, the charismatic leaders. And yet they are very clearly anti-Semitic, repeatedly so, unapologetically so. The Democrat Party a couple years ago failed in its attempts to censure Ilhan Omar for her open anti-Semitism. It's not as if she's changed. And now there are just more who think like her in the Congress.
Finally, Robert, let's talk about anti-Semitism within the black community. Poll after poll over decades has shown that blacks are 2.5 to 3 times more likely to be anti-Semitic than non-black Gentiles. The majority are not, but a much larger percentage are than compared to non-black Gentiles. How do you explain that?
I think that it's also the result of decades of indoctrination, that you have people like Al Sharpton, people like Jesse Jackson. You can think about their long history of anti-Semitic statements, Louis Farrakhan. And so you have people who look up to those guys, and then they say, oh, they're blaming the Jews. And Jesse Jackson is talking about Hymietown, and Al Sharpton is blaming the Jews for this and that. And these things have an effect.
And Robert, let us not forget that picture of a smiling Senator Barack Obama next to a smiling Louis Farrakhan that we did not know about until a few years after Obama left office.
Yeah, sure. And so Obama was a tremendous impetus for mainstreaming that kind of point of view within the black community and among the left in general.
Robert Spencer, Jihad Watch. Robert, as always, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Larry.
You got it. Finally, speaking of MLK Day,
about in school?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. What'd he do?
He died for our sins.
No, that was
just a bit outside.
And never get caught between Joe Biden and a mic.
John Ketanji Brown Jackson, our Supreme Court Justice.
Ketanji Brown, you know that black justice that I put up there. Now be sure and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and scroll down and get on our mailing list. Why? Because every now and then, believe it or not, YouTube has issues with some of our videos. To make sure you don't miss any videos, make sure you're on our mailing list. Also, there's a donate button. Feel free to hit that. Throw a little something in the tip jar. LarryWithEpic.com. That's EPOCH. LarryWithEpic.com.